And here we have another lovely and rather long mission, the Obelisk of Khamoon. So the obelisk itself stands right in front of us, and, yeah, it's gonna be interesting. So, basically, littered around the obelisk are 4 pathways which we need to drop down, to get some they're not keys per se, but, things. So we've got the Eye of Horus, which is just quite cool, and, we need to get 4 of these things. Now, what I should have done there should have been the nice, beautiful swan dive into the water. Instead, I ended up breaking Lara's legs. It's quite remarkable that she's still able to walk, if I'm honest. But basically, there are things littered about down here that we can just grab and, yeah. This is just quite a sprawling place. And I still find it absolutely remarkable that that all this is down here. I am still in shock that it kind of is so deep. Like, seriously. We just keep going down. So, yeah, we have these wonderful mashy block things. I desperately want to call them mashy spike plates, but they definitely don't have any spikes on them. So they're mashy stone blocks, I suppose, is a bit more of an accurate description of them. They're not too difficult to get through. The last one is probably the most difficult of the 3. But either way. Now, I believe this thing is on a timer, so essentially run over and get on this platform very, very quickly if you don't want to have to repeat your process. Oh, look, we have another one of these things. So lovely. And, oh, here we are. It's this room. Now, if you remember when we were in Greece, and we had that timed relic in the Room of Fire, and I mentioned that there was another timed thing that we needed to get. Well, this is the room in which that artifact that we are hunting lies. This is probably the most difficult artifact in the entire game. I really think it is. It's absolutely horrible. And, oh my god. Because basically what it is that you pull this switch right here, and you've got to get it all the way up to the top, and across to the artifact, before the thing retracts. And you really, really don't have a lot of time to do this. Like, seriously, you barely have enough time if you, do it perfectly. Now, I literally spent so long getting this artifact that you have absolutely no idea. this and a later room were basically where I spent a stupid amount of time trying to succeed. There's just something about the rooms where you have to climb really high that just get horrible. Because the game really hates you. Now, I believe you have about 2-ish minutes to get across to this artifact. Or something like that. I'm not sure. But either way, I made it! I was so pleased when I managed that. Because oh my word. The frustration of just trying to pull that off without getting hit and making it up is just horrible. Because there's so many places where it can just go really horribly wrong. And if you mess up just once, you're through, essentially. And then there was a wonderful cat mummy awaiting us in the room afterwards. They're just really wanting to make you suffer right now. But thankfully now that particular thing is over, we have gotten past the worst of it for now. We're going to reach another horrible room a little bit later on. Basically the penultimate room of the game, essentially. And in that room is the final challenge that is just horrible to do. Now, if my memory serves me right, 2 of the rooms in this level are essentially mirrors of each other. So you have to make your way down, and then there will be some switches that we need to yank down. Might not be quite this room, I think it's lower down, maybe. We will see when we get there. It might be in the next level, actually. As I said, my memory is really poor. Either way, we are... If we wanted to, we could drop down and get the next little icon. But what's the point in doing that? We've got a nice little route to be able to get round to pull the next switch. Also, stabby stabby. Well, no, not stabby stabby. Slicey slicey rings. And very soon we are going to come into a climb that requires you to use the grapple swinging at the same time as avoiding the slicey rotary blades. And here we have a nice little slide down. There's literally nothing you can do about sliding down, you have to come down here. And then you have a wonderful cat mummy waiting for you at the bottom. To be perfectly honest, this level is just filled with really horrible set pieces. it's only now that I'm realising how horrible some of these set pieces are, the fact that they're lumped in the same mission. Because the next artifact that we need to get, because I believe it's at the top, well, definitely one of the next artifacts that we're getting, which is at the top of the room, requires a rather glitchy jump to make it. Because the artifact in question is at the top of the stairs that we couldn't reach in this room. And yeah, it's not fun getting off of that without dying. Also, Cameron, you weren't doing much to help me there. This is the, room with the slicey blades and the grapple swinging. I knew it was coming up soon. I hate this room also, because basically it's all a case of timing of when you use your grapple swing. Because if Lara's grapple gets caught by the blade, then you are going to fail. And then you have to climb all the way back up. And you may think, oh, I can leap back onto that. No, you can't. You're meant to jump here. And then you're meant to climb up to this one to be able to progress across with two rotary blades trying to stab you. And it's just like, why you do this to me? Just why? Why must you be so mean? And now it's time to get the artifact, which requires 2 grapples and a drop, and then a hideous jump that's glitchy. Because the artifact is just there on top of that platform. You can't reach it normally. You can only get it by grappling and stopping in the middle. I mean, it'd be very, very, very nice if you could literally just kind of drop down from the top on top of it. But no, you need to use your grapple skills. Which is what I am slowly but surely realising at this particular moment in time. But it's the leap back over to get back up that is the worst moment in doing anything. Because picking up the artifact's not the problem. That bit's quite easy. Making this jump, however, is not. Because Lara won't grab onto the side if you don't jump just right. And yeah, it's a very dangerous jump to make. But if you are doing what I'm doing in recording a walkthrough in which you need to show the path to and from said artifacts, you are brought into a slightly difficult situation when you die, and the artifacts don't reload. So you can't pick them up again, but you still have to make your way back to where the artifact was to show how you get out of that situation and progress. I'm not bitter at all. So now we are back round at the top of the room, and we have dropped another wonderful bridge down. Now, if you really wanted to, and it's certainly possible to, you could drop... well, actually, no, I think if you drop down and tried to land on the bridge, you would kill Lara. That jump's far, far, far too high for her to survive. To be perfectly honest, it would have been a lot smoother if I'd just if I just made her swan dive off the top. Doing the swan dive is fun. That's not what I asked you to do, Lara. I know I was talking about the swan dive into the water, but I didn't want you to leap into the water just then. It's kind of disappointing that come Tomb Raider Underworld, the chances you have to do a swan dive are limited. There are only... you get an achievement for performing a swan dive in 3 particular locations, and rather irritatingly, well, because basically they are the highest points of the game. The irritating bit is that once you've done the swan dive, you then, in 2 of the instances, have to climb back to where you swan dove from. And that's a frustrating thing to have to do. But we've got 3 of our little things. We just need to get our final switch down and our final piece of the puzzle. But first we need to make it through this hideous room, or corridor. The first bit is okay. I can deal with this bit. You just peacefully crouch, and you can make it through with a bit of patience. And then you need to make it through here. This particular one is horrible, because what tends to happen is that you jump, and Lara stumbles. And when Lara stumbles, you've got to press Y to right her, and then jump. However, if you stumble, then you don't have enough time to leap off, and Lara will get crushed. And that will happen a lot. Like, seriously. It just keep happening. It's insane. Also, I believe there's a golden switch somewhere around here that you do not want to grab onto in any way, shape or form, because you will basically make your path back all the more difficult. And you don't want to do that. You want to have as easy a ride as humanly possible through these things, because I mean, you've got all these cat mummies to deal with, and they're just a pain. Especially when you're in a tight enclosure. This isn't the tightest enclosure you will ever face cat mummies in, but later on, they can just be really horrible. Now, I believe that it is this particular room where, basically, yes, it is this one. This corridor is also horrible, because making it through that little bit unscathed is a great challenge, and then you need to make it down here, which is even worse, because you have to deal with the crushy things, with the jumping. Thankfully, it's a bit more lenient in terms of letting Lara stumble on top of a pole, but not that much. And even better is that you have to make it all the way back across, because that's just so lovely. It's like they couldn't just give you a nice easy ride back. No, you've got to do this in reverse. Which is more horrible because you have to deal with getting the timing down. Thankfully, the checkpoint is so close to this bit that you don't have as much to worry about. And I believe it was at this point that I was just like, I don't care if I get hit, I'm just gonna beast it. It's the same as the fire room in Greece. But also, I believe we are getting close to a glitched ledge. It's basically towards the top of this room. Can't remember specifically which one it is. But what we're going to go through a corridor, and then I believe there's eventually we'll reach a ledge that Lara sometimes will not want to grab, which is not helpful. I believe, well, that one's certainly a challenging little ledge to reach. We have another artifact as well. There are a lot of artifacts in this level. Like, a stupid amount. Like, how many have we picked up so far? It's like 3 or 4 at this point? Like, seriously. Lara's just picking them up like there's no tomorrow. And we have at least one more, which is either right at the top of this room or right at the top of a room nearby, which requires a really, really horrible grapple swing. You thought some of the earlier ones where you got to leap across and jump back were bad? Oh, you haven't seen this one yet. Like, seriously. Also, a cat mummy is going to appear very soon in this particular corridor. Be careful. 'Cause there isn't a checkpoint that close by. And I believe it's that golden switch that's hanging there is what you don't want to be falling on. And this is the very hideous grapple swing that you need to make. So, to stand a chance of getting the artifact, you need to be standing around, I believe that's Anubis's knees. And then swing until you reach as high as you possibly can. Generally, getting right near the top of the green columns is your best bet. And then when you reach the apex, you need to leap backwards to grab onto that ledge, which then allows you to get here and then get over to the artifact. That grapple swing is horrible to set up. And if you fail, you die. Because Lara is going to drop a ridiculous height. So, it's hideous to try and do. And now that we have gotten that artifact, this is when the cat mummy is going to turn up. So, basically you could, I believe, just leap back to the left, to get out, but you don't want to do that. You need to go a slightly different route. Which, well, you need to go back through this corridor and, oh look, there's a cat mummy. Even though I was completely expecting that, I believe I did jump ever so slightly when it turned up, because it was just like, oh my god. Because the music just kind of kicks in like there's no tomorrow. Like, most times, you do get a sight of your opponent before they turn up. However, yeah. Now, I believe it's this ledge right here. So what you need to do is you need to drop off to get down here. Because I believe you're essentially just heading to the bottom. Maybe. I don't even know anymore. You can tell I'm just kind of pontificating randomly. about the level design, because that's evidently the most interesting thing that's going on right now. I wish that I was much more invested in, like, Egyptian mythology. I mean, I do love it, it's great. But I'm much more of a medieval England person. As if you've watched a number of my playthroughs and walkthroughs, you are no doubt aware. Especially if you watched Tomb Raider Legend and all of my, oh my god, King Arthur. Arthurian romances are amazing. I am a real great fan of Arthurian romances. They're great. And I'm completely planning on writing a dissertation on romances, I think. That's where I'm wanting to go. Whatever I end up writing on is slightly different, but that desire for the medieval romance is very strong. But, I mean, Egyptology is also really awesome. There's someone at my college who is, I believe, one of the fellows, I believe, is a renowned, or used to be a really amazing still is, a really amazing Egyptologist, I think. And, I mean, I probably should speak to him at some point, because it's always really interesting to hear people who have worked in these fields their entire lives, kind of teach you about the subject areas, because there's just so much information that they can give you. Like, it's amazing. Like, I have, meetings, well, it's called supervision. It's like a mini class, with one, supervisor. And he's literally just a fountain of information about medieval England. And it's just wonderful. They're some of my favourite, supervisions, because they're just so interesting. There I am showing my rather geeky side. But look where we are. We're right back where we began. Lara does a lot of moving about in circles in Egypt, and our last task is to go and find, it's like I believe it's another obelisk, and pop all, like the Eye of Horus and the Ankh and the Scarab and whatever it was that we got of Anubis, because I think we got something of Anubis. He was sitting about. So I was just like, it's been a while since I've been in this room, I can't remember the way out. You basically need to go back the way you came in. And I believe something is awaiting us around one of these corners. Maybe a centaur. Or a cat mummy. Oh look, there he is. It's a centaur. He's not quite as terrifying as the boss centaurs, because he can't do the freezing you thing, but he can throw fireballs, and anything that throws fireballs is going to not do very good. Now, thank you, Lara. Just going, no, I couldn't see the thingy. Make sure that you do look at the hole before you place the object in, because otherwise you'll end up like that and just be like, I don't know what I'm putting in. And Lara will just keep going, no, no, no. But either way, we've opened up our way into the tomb, I believe, so that's where we're heading next. Yay!